I wanted to speak about a rival of my team, the Columbus Blue Jackets. They hired a new coach. This coach is getting his last chance after a stint with Christian and David's team, the Toronto Maple Leafs. How he kind of, ruined his career with what he did. He gave it for basically people that don't know. He basically gave, I think it was William Nylander or Mitch
He's
Marner, one of the
Marner.
young,
He's
Marner.
Marner.
yeah, one of the younger guys, a Christmas list. Oh no, he told Marner to make a Christmas list of players on the team that didn't work hard or something like that, and
Hey,
he ranked
Richie, can
them.
you write the naughty to nice? Write the list in terms of nice to naughty, in terms of work ethic for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Is basically what he asked.
Oh God.
And then he
And
said, he walked in the dressing room and said, "Hey, boys, Richie just wrote me this list. What do you guys think?"
Look at what Mitchie thinks about you guys. Like, what a
It's
dick, dude. What a
it's so
dick.
bad, man. Yeah, not the
oh my
best.
goodness. This is Babcock's last chance as a coach. If he can't figure this one out, if he can't make something work here in Columbus, or if he does something like that, he's done, I think.
Dude, that guy is a textbook narcissist. Like, if you, I'm pretty sure, was
He
there
refers to
not
himself in the third person for sure.
refers to himself
I'm
in the
gonna bet
third
on Mike. Didn't
person?
he say something where he's like, "I'm gonna bet on Mike
It's like
Babcock,"
Mike
right?
Babcock only Mike like bets on Mike Babcock. It's like I only bet on Mike Babcock. It's like, who are you, Arnold Schwarzenegger, dude? You're not the star of like this production here, buddy. You
He
are
he's
he
surprisingly hated. Like I always see something. I
right.
hate Michael Babcock.
I dude, listen,
Like across players in the league. Like I swear, like
oh
every
well,
other
okay. There is a story that came out. I don't know the full details, but the one that always gets a lot of people is the stuff he did to Johan Franz, and like he basically sent Johan Franz into like down a dark spiral. Basically, I don't know the full details and I
yes.
can't speak on it, but I do remember seeing the story, and from what I could recollect, it was like it was stuff like why, like what type of human does this type of stuff, and that's somebody who's manipulative, vindictive, and there's so many different words that you can describe my Babcock. But what I want to know is what feelings does Johnny Gaudreau have right now after just signing, a long free agent deal, kind of going close to home. He thought he was going to play these whole 8 years kind of a little bit more stress free than he was in Calgary, but now he's got Mike to deal with. Like, Mike isn't a big fan of guys like Johnny Gaudreau. We saw with Mitch Marner. Mitch, by the end, I think Mitch became he's always the coach's favorite. I think that there's no debate about that. But let's not remember the first, I would say, 10 games of Mitch Marner's NHL career did not start off too hot for him. He was down on the fourth line with Matt Martin for a stretch there in his first season. There's always something with like those smaller skilled guys. Um, does Johnny Gaudreau have that reputation of being like a very good two-way winger either? Like I don't know. I don't think you could like really fundamentally
There's
say
a
that.
there's another winger that doesn't have the best
Oh
reputation for
my
being two
God, I
ways
forgot
and
about
getting
that
a
one
fight with
too.
past coaches.
Oh
Past
yeah.
coaches.
Oh
Patrik
man.
Laine. What's he
Let's
thinking?
what is the over under before Patrik Laine asks out of Columbus? Like how many games does it take? I'd say 45.
I was
It's
gonna
not
s-
bad.
yeah, yeah.
Man.
I just don't know what Columbus is doing like in general. Let's take out all of the noise surrounding Mike Babcock. Let's just look at him as like a guy who coaches the sport of hockey. He didn't end his tenure very well in Toronto. The last playoff game that he coached for the Toronto Maple Leafs was 2018, or was it 2019? I think it was, yeah, it
It
was
was
20,
it was the
sorry, it was
year Tavares
2019.
got like 15 minutes. I remember because I watched that game with
So it
David.
wasn't Tavares, it was
Matthews.
Matthews.
Oh, okay.
It was Freddie
They
the
got
Goat played as many minutes as Austin Matthews in
my
Game
God.
7 against the Boston Bruins
Good
in
Lord.
2019. Um, so yeah, that's not
Wait,
good.
no, wait. How does
And
that make sense though? Because Anderson like is the goalie. He just pull. I don't remember him getting.
Freddie Gauthier,
Oh,
Fourth
yeah,
line,
not
oh,
fourth
yeah,
line
oh
beauty,
yeah.
ready to go.
Gauthier,
That's
not
funny.
Anderson. Yeah, yeah. That's like when you're like, how was your morning? And I'm like, yeah, my morning's pretty good. I mean, I woke up and you're like, no, like you're mourning your loss.
Oh
And I was like,
yeah.
oh, yeah, no, Freddie the GOAT played as many minutes as Austin Matthews in Game 7. Not good, just not good
No, no.
tactically. Uh, and we always got on Babs for being hella stubborn about stuff. There was the Jake Muzzin trade where they're like, well, you're gonna play him on the right side or whatever. So, well, he's left-handed. This is not what I asked for. Just being
That's
mad.
I remember that he
Yeah.
was calling out. He had it out for Kyle Dubas as soon as Kyle Dubas took over. But wait, was that a Dubas trade, the Muzzin deal? I think so. That was one of his
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, he had it out for Dubas in the media. He's like, yeah, not really what I asked for. He's like, but like Muzz could play both sides if he had to. And it was at that
Yeah.
time where it was like Ron Hainsey was our number one right-sided D. So, putting Jake on that side probably improves it by tenfold.
Yes.
Listen,
I think tried it for one whole game.
yeah, he did.
Yeah,
And then it
yeah.
didn't work, and he's like, see, I'm right. So
And then we saw Keefe do that with Sangin and Riley. Remember they we did that too. And that guy ended up on the door. Listen, I just don't see the fit stylistically in Columbus. I don't really know what the hell they're going for there. Um,
I
it sucked last year with Brad Larson because I don't know who the. If you ask people who the coach of Columbus was last year, chances are they didn't
Torts.
even know, right? Yeah, that's what they would say. They would say
Torts. I
Torts.
know
Yeah,
he
no,
was fired like
this
3 years ago.
I'm sure Torts could, do the double duty, first ever head coach of two teams at the same time. But no, it was Brad freaking Larson. That didn't go well at all. I just don't know if Babs is the guy right now. I think Columbus is kind of in this really mushy middle. They have some guys on big tickets like Gaudreau, like Laine, like Zach Werenski. They have young guys with promise like Kirill Marchenko, Ken Johnson, Adam
they
Boakfist,
they are
and then
going
they've
to
just
have
got a bunch of other guys.
yes.
I don't know what they are. What are they? And I don't think Babcock is gonna like. Is he gonna take these guys to the playoffs next year? Hell no, I don't think so.
He
Like that's what was the torch thing.
maybe
That's
it's
what it
just
is.
maybe it's just a guy to get them through this period. They will be getting a absolute stud this draft. Doesn't matter who they pick. They're picking third overall. They'll get somebody good. And I don't
Another
know.
team that needs a
Right.
goaltender.
Before we yeah, they could use I don't even think that they could use a goaltender. They could just use some saves. Like Elvis Merzlikins
Past 2 years, I don't
I
puts
think
absolutely
any
love Tarasov.
terrible.
I
yeah,
absolutely
Okay,
love Tarasov.
but
I
you
think
can't give him the
no,
world right
but
now.
yeah,
no, definitely not. But I think that honestly, if Tarasov can grow into a starter,
yeah.
but
But that's what I'm saying. Like you can't rely on Tarasov immediately, but you also need Merzlikins to at the very least put up something respectable because I think he finished
it's
last year
hard
with
to
like an
finish with a
875.
it's gonna be hard to finish with a 900 on this team next year. Like I don't the way
It's
the
a
team's
weird
going.
team. It is probably one of
Yeah.
the weirdest looking rosters in the league.
Yeah,
I don't know what they're doing, to be honest. I don't know. And
and
that's on Yarmo, like he he signed Johnny Gaudreau. Like for
Yeah.
what though? It's a really weird looking team. I don't know what to make of it. We'll see if maybe they head in a certain direction. Like you gotta decide on a direction. You have to commit to it. And so maybe this is them committing to trying to compete next year. As the roster stands, that sounds wacky, but we're gonna have to see if they make some moves at the draft, free agency signings. Maybe it looks a lot different, but right now I don't know what the hell they're doing.
Bri, I have one question for you. Is Babcock the NHL equivalent to Jose Mourinho?
no, Jose
No?
Mourinho
Okay.
wins. He
Fuck.
fucking takes your
Shit.
team to the next level, and he's actually like
Well,
not a bad guy.
yeah. I've heard reports that, he's another one who's got, I think just in terms of like personality, where it's they think they know better than
Mourinho
everyone.
knows, but Mourinho does know.
Mourinho
That's the difference.
does know, yes,
That's the
I
difference.
think Babcock for a time did know. Like it's not like he just
That's what I was
lucked
gonna say. This
a Stanley
comparison
Cup.
works when he
10
was
years ago.
hired by the Leafs. That's when it worked, right? That's how we were talking about him
Legitimately 10
as.
years ago.
Yeah,
I think
we were
that's what he
talking about him as the best coach in the league when the Leafs signed him.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
that's what we were saying.
we were.
Yeah,
Well, he was still keeping Detroit afloat. He had just
yeah,
won a cup with them. I think at that time, 5 years prior, or maybe 6 years prior.
yeah.
I
They were still on the streak. Detroit was on the streak.
But
and then you
Bry,
guys paid him more than like
but Bry,
you
in the
guys paid him
past,
like 10 figures or
Five
something like
mil, I
that.
think.
That's
Brian,
ridiculous for a coach. But
since 2010,
yeah.
what has Jose Mourinho won?
I
Like
mean,
he'll take you to a final. He took Roma
yeah.
to a final a few weeks ago, but he didn't win it.
But that's Dave, there's controversy there in itself. But we're like in regards to like what you're getting out of a manager with Babcock, you're potentially like creating a toxic environment for the rest of the team. With Mourinho, you're creating a mindset of success. Like you're
I don't know.
creating
I've heard that he
So
also creates a toxic environment as well.
when
Like
he
that's
leaves,
that's
when he leaves. But
that's
that's what
3
any
years.
coach leaves in any
It
sport.
takes 3 years. And Mike Babcock, it took him 3 years to create. Actually, it took him a year probably to create, or 2 years to create a toxic work environment. Right? It took him
I
one year
just
with the rookies.
I just
do we
think
think
that
there's no roster that Babcock would work with then? Like, are we saying that
Yeah,
this is a
maybe the
bad fit, or do we
KHL.
think
it's
that?
this is the
Yeah,
point
okay.
where
So
when I was looking at my coaching options before we hired Carberry, which is a great hire by the way. Shout out to the Capitals for that.
Yeah, shout out to the Leafs for letting him go.
Yeah, but but go like when I was looking at coaching options, there's a point in which Babcock was actually linked with us, and I was thinking like Lavio or Babcock, Lavio or Babcock. Lavio sounds a lot nicer than Mike Babcock, and
Lavio was Babs without the media noise.
Yeah,
yeah,
Because
that's
Babcock
true.
is a quote. Babcock is a he'll have all of his Babisms. You know, we're gonna push hard on the drivetrain here. We gotta put your boots on and go to work. You gotta live
Just
hard, party hard, work
did
hard.
didn't start on time again.
Yeah,
Was
real good
the
player.
real good
so
player.
I love that one. That was my
Oh
and
my
favorite.
god.
okay, and like it actually makes me bad that Columbus is gonna get Will Smith, and they're just gonna 1 year he's gonna spend at BU, but then the next year after they're just gonna ruin him.
Okay, I'll be honest. I'm gonna give some pushback here. I can give some pushback. I know we talked about the fit between like the small scale forwards and
Yeah,
Babs and how it's not been good. I'm thinking back to if Babs has ever really said much wrong about William Nylander. And there was times when Nylander might have been like a healthy scratch, maybe once or twice in the first couple years. He's been on the fourth line, but I don't really ever remember Babs giving it to Willie in the media. Never really. I remember him saying he's a great player, great human being, real skilled.
Yeah,
We're gonna make him into a center one day, and
I
he's gonna
don't
keep
think
getting better,
I don't think
right?
he needed to do it because the rest of the fan base and the media around it was already doing it for him.
So okay, so this is what I'm getting to. I think we can actually give kudos to Babs. Okay, so this is tough now. This is tough the more I think about it.
For
In
not
terms of
feeding
the
into
media,
that.
but he protected the stars from the media. He did. The first couple of years as literal kids, as teenagers, at least in Matthew's case, Nylander and Mitchie were probably 20 at the time, but he protected them from the media. We know he didn't really protect them in the locker room with the Mitchie story. So that's the other side to this coin. But I actually don't think he's the type of guy like Daryl Sutter to lambast the rookies in the media, like when Daryl Sutter pretended to not know Jake Pelletier's number. I don't really think we get that with Babs, to be honest. I actually think he understands if I eat into these guys in a presser, it's not good. And he is at least self-aware to that point.
so
I do think that.
I think that's like the baseline requirement though to be an
You're right.
NHL
No,
coach. So
100%.
so yeah, we'll
100%.
give him a clap for it. Don't get me wrong, because you brought up a great example in Daryl Sutter, who not only
Yeah.
probably I bet you when Daryl's like in a couple of years, we'll get stories about the locker room in Calgary. That's gonna be coming out very, very soon. But in Daryl Sutter's case, he might have done some stuff in the locker room to make his team hate him. and he also did stuff in the media to make his team hate him. So I think that is a fair point, but it's also kind of like if you're in professional sports, it's not just hockey, and you are lambasting your own players, like if you're the manager and you're lambasting your players in the media to the press, without their knowledge, without their they could have had a bad game.
Yeah.
You have to have your player support. They are your players. It is your job to get them back on the right track. And by lambasting them in the media, that's only pushing them further back from that path to success. It's actually turning them around and pointing them in the wrong direction, I think. So
see, Dave, it's so tough though, because we went through this year with Keefe where he called out the stars, right? And we were saying, yes, Keefe, yes. And then he had to walk back his statements.
Yeah, no, you're right.
It's so tough.
There
is really a very fine line to walk. And I think really there's different avenues to having a successful team with a successful coach. Just look at Paul Maurice, right? This guy was coaching the Jets, and he was like, whatever I'm saying isn't even hitting these guys anymore. I don't even like hockey anymore. Screw this. If you ask that guy right now if he loves hockey, well, maybe being down 2-0 in the finals, maybe got to think otherwise. But 2 weeks ago, you asked Paul Maurice about hockey. He said this is the best goddamn thing to ever hit the face of the earth, right? Far change from a year ago. I just think there is, I don't know, even with Daryl, like you can say that it worked for a year. It worked extremely well for a year. Maybe it's just the fact that some coaches do have a shorter expiry date than others. And Babs probably does fall into that category where he's got the short expiry date.
This coach signing brings this franchise one step closer to imploding. And it's bad too because they have pieces that I do like and players that are quality. And they even have a high draft pick this year, right? But you can't sign.
They need to choose a direction. They need to choose a direction. You signed the top UFA last year and you're drafting third this year. Those do not compete.
They don't correlate. Yeah.
No. So make up your mind. And
what would be better for them? Maybe because Brad Larson, I think, was on his first big time deal. I don't even know where Brad Larson came from. Was he not internal? Coach. Yeah, it was an internal hire, right? So on that note, do you then go the same route and give another person, basically their rookie deal with you? Do you give a rookie head coach a chance with the rookie team, or do you give the rookie team the experienced, veteran, weathered, hard-nosed coach to kind of guide them into the NHL? Because like we said before, that's what they did with Babs, right? Sorry, that's what the Leafs did with Babs. And I know it didn't work in the playoffs, but let's also not forget that first year under Babcock with all the rookies in the lineup, everybody was projecting the Leafs to have a better season than finishing 31st, or what was it, 30th or 31st that year? I think there was only 30 teams at the time.
Yeah.
So even 30th. That's crazy. But we ended up making the playoffs, right?
We blew expectations out of the water.
We did.
Blew them out of the water. I think we're going to be stunned by the fact that Columbus is going to choose to go into the compete mode. They're going to still draft for third overall, but I think they're going to be signing guys that we didn't expect them to sign in free agency. I think they're going to be making trades that you wouldn't expect. I think they're going to try to compete. I think they're going to try to compete.
They have really good pieces.
They also signed like Eric Gudbranson last year, and it's like, for what reason? You signed him like 4x4. It's like, for what? You made made other good signings.
You don't sign that to be okay. Yeah, you do sign it if you want to suck, but you don't actually make that. Yeah, I know.
Well, I think the 4 years.
I think the idea of Gudbranson. I think the idea of Gudbranson was like strategic move in the sense that you put him beside Werenski, right? It just so happened that Werenski got hurt.
That is not strategic. Again, that's not strategic.
Well, the idea is one shutdown guy, one offensive guy, right?
Yeah.
Is Gudbranson the shutdown guy you want?
No.
He shuts down your offense. That's what he shuts down yourself. I just realized they've already given us a hint as to what they're going to do. They're going to do what I said. They're going to be signing guys in free agency. They were rumored to be in for Bo Horvat.
Yeah.
They wanted to trade for Bo Horvat. What were they going to trade for Bo Horvat? right? What were they going to trade?
The funniest part is, it's going to be so funny how we're talking about this. What is it? June 5th today.
Yeah.
We're going to be
June 6th,
talking
sorry.
about it June 5th next year. We're going to be like, wow, I can't believe the Columbus Blue Jackets made the playoffs and made a run, to the second, the third round with this roster. Like, wow, what a hiring Mike Babcock was. And that's just how it works.
I
We
don't
could
know.
say whatever
It
we
would be an
want on this
interesting story.
podcast.
It would be an interesting story.
We could say whatever we want on here, and
Yeah.
somehow the opposite will happen. Like Mike
For
Babcock
me-
might be Jack Adams, like a Jack Adams winner next year. Who knows?
For me, they just have the pieces to sell
They
a
were
little
in on
bit and
shipping
rebuild.
too.
They were. But it's just
But they also traded Gavrikov and Korpisalo.
yes, that's
What the hell is this team doing, man?